What's going on, guys? Welcome back to another episode of the Win Daily Thursday night preview for DraftKings Showdown slate. We've got a large game going ahead of us tonight on Thursday night. We've got the Green Bay Packers and the Philadelphia Eagles. Philadelphia is on the road at Green Bay, with Green Bay being the favorite. So let's play some Showdown. So again, we'll be breaking down this slate, looking, or not just this specific game, for Thursday night, specifically to DraftKings and Showdown settings. So first off, let's look at the quarterback position. So you got Aaron Rodgers at $10,800 and Carson Wentz at $10,000. So the way that I best see this scenario playing out is you got to play Aaron Rodgers. I'm only going to roster one quarterback in a Showdown slate, so it's going to be Aaron Rodgers for me. The matchup is too good, and I think that Rodgers is in an ultimate bounce back spot against this really bad Philadelphia Eagles secondary. The Philadelphia Eagles, on average, have allowed 310 passing yards and 3 passing touchdowns per game on the road this season. And Rodgers has even come in and said, he's like, hey, it's time for us to do our part on offense. We can't let the defense do everything, get all the wins, do everything. I don't know if you guys have seen that meme with the turtles and basically Splinter, and it's funny. You go check it out. Just look up Aaron Rodgers turtles meme, and you should be able to find it. But basically, this defense has kind of been the supporting factor of this team for the first 3 weeks, and Rodgers needs to give that a change. I think that this is the matchup where that happens against this poor Philadelphia Eagles secondary. Rodgers hasn't scored more than 15 fantasy points yet this season. He's only thrown for 2 touchdowns once, and he's only thrown for a high of 235 yards. But he's better at home. He has a career passer rating of 107.7 at home. And I really think that's going to be a bounce back spot for Aaron Rodgers. So I definitely would roster him, not in your captain spot. Remember, we don't want to put quarterbacks in the captain spot. It's not the best expected value in terms of how high you can get points. So we don't want to put him there, but we definitely want him in there as a flex. Carson Wentz is the fade. I think the Packers defense is pretty good. They've improved a lot since last year under their second year of Mike Pettin. They play better at home in 2018. They allowed the 8th fewest passing yards at home and 16th fewest passing touchdowns. With no Deshaun Jackson, possibly banged up Alshon Jeffrey, I just don't like Wentz in this matchup as the quarterback. So I'm paying up to get Aaron Rodgers on my squad at $10,800. At the running back position, I am very, very, very much interested in my guy, Miles Sanders. So we'll jump from the Packers to the Eagles. There we go, Miles Sanders. I think Aaron Jones is actually a big fade in this game. At $9,000, he was outsnapped and outtouched by Jamal Williams, who's at $5,000. So for me, it doesn't make sense to pay up that extra salary for a guy like Aaron Jones when the production could easily go to Jamal Williams, and it's not even a good matchup either. The Eagles have a really good run defense. So I don't really like the matchup for Aaron Jones, especially at his price tag. If I'm going to play contrarian running back, I would just play Jamal Williams. He's cheaper. He lets me fit other pieces into my lineup. And I think he's just a better option overall. I mean, he could definitely outscore Aaron Jones, but no one would project that from a projection standpoint because Aaron Jones is perceived to be the starter and is a better running back. But we'll see. But the running back I do really like is Miles Sanders. So Miles Sanders is a very explosive, rookie from Penn State. The Eagles invested some high draft capital in him. So I really think that he bounces back in this game, similar to Aaron Rodgers on the other side. We saw last week some fumbling issues, but and the stigma around it is that he was benched, but he really wasn't benched. He actually came out on Tuesday and kind of talked about how he was glad the coaches kept him in the game and didn't really give up on him. And Doug Peterson literally has come out and said, he's like, the more touches we get this guy, the better he's going to do. So I'm going to be buying into that coach speak. We have to build narratives when we're building Showdown slates. You need to build a story. And I'm going to build a story that this is the Miles Sanders breakout Thursday night game. And when we all think back about, if Miles Sanders has a great career, it'll be like, hey, remember that Thursday night game when Miles Sanders went off? Yeah, that could be this game. So I really heavily invested in Miles Sanders in my Showdown lineups, and I recommend that you are as well. The matchup is also really good. The Packers are not very good against pass-catching running backs. In terms of matchups, they actually rank. They've allowed the most receptions, most targets, and third most receiving yards to running backs through 3 weeks. Now, a lot of that has to do with in week 1, Tariq Cohen was playing a lot of slot receiver, basically. But, the Eagles can look at that on film and be like, all right, let's flex Miles Sanders out into the slot. Put Aguilar on the other side. So I do think that there is a weakness there to be exploited. And overall, the Packers have the 25th ranked run defense. So they're definitely stronger against the pass, not necessarily the run, which is why I think Miles Sanders has a really opportunity to blow up in this game. Jordan Howard is literally only there to steal touchdowns, so just a matter of, okay, could he score 3 touchdowns until he break the slate? Yes, it's possible, but that's based on the fact that if he has to get 3 goal line opportunities. I'm saying that Miles Sanders isn't going to let him do that. Miles Sanders is going to score all of his touchdowns outside the red zone with big plays. So that's what I like in this game. I also think Sproles could be a different option too. He's just a guy that just breaks slates, on Thursday nights when people aren't expecting to play him. So Darren Sproles is an option there. Prices, so Miles Sanders is at 6,200, Jordan Howard 4,600, and Darren Sproles is at 2,800. So Miles Sanders, breakout game coming. At the receiver position, I talked about how I liked Aaron Rodgers. I really like Devontae Adams. So now I'll hop back to the Packers. I really like Devontae Adams in this matchup. I think that he really has an opportunity to put up a lot of points in this game. Again, the Eagles secondary is not good, especially against perimeter cornerbacks. They are perimeter wide receivers. They don't do well. And last week we saw it. It wasn't Kenny Golladay that blew up. It was Marvin Jones. So we could obviously see the switch again. All right, now it's going to be the number 1 and maybe the number 2. So realistically, Devontae Adams has a really big chance to blow up in this spot. Marquez Valdes-Scantling has a really opportunity to blow up in this spot. But for me, my captain is going to be Devontae Adams. I think he has the maximum potential to score the most amount of points in this affair. He's been quiet through 3 weeks. He's had some tough cornerback matchups. Rodgers had come out and said, hey, I really want to get Adams the ball more. I know he said that in the offseason. That hasn't really happened, but this is kind of like directly related. So I think that this is going to happen. The matchup's there. Like, there's really no reason why it wouldn't happen unless, Matt LaFleur is just like, hey, we're just going to run the ball like 40 times in a cloud of dust. So I really think that, though, that this is an easy spot. I don't care if Devontae Adams is chalk or not. I think that he's the best play in the board, so you want to put him in your captain spot, and you can fit other pieces around to make it so you have a strong roster moving forward. So I do like him there as well. On the Eagles side, the only receiver I really like is Mac Hollins. He's filling that Deshaun Jackson role, so he has the opportunity to really bring in that explosive playmaking ability on the outside. I do not like Alshon Jeffrey, and I do not like Nelson Aguilar. I think Aguilar is really kind of going to be like a chalky play, and I'm not so sure Aguilar's really that good. I mean, we saw last week he struggled mightily in the first half, and he kind of blew up obviously with the 2 touchdowns he had, but he was not good in the first half. He had fumbles, he was dropping balls, and it's yikes, this chalk's about to blow up in my face. And I think that people are going to kind of carry that over to the Showdown slate where it's oh, I had Aguilar, he crushed it last week, gotta play him again. I mean, he's at 7,800, so he's cheaper than Jeffrey, he's cheaper than Adams, but he's probably the most expensive. He is definitely the most expensive Eagles receiver that will be owned. His price is actually just above. It's cheaper than Ertz, too, so I could see people kind of getting off of Aguilar, or I could see people getting off of Ertz and to get exposure to the Eagles offense with Aguilar at a cheaper price. I think that's wrong. I would play Zach Ertz as my Eagles exposure with Mac Hollins. He's not going to see a significant decrease in snaps because he's taking the Deshaun Jackson role. J.J. Arcega-Whiteside is the one that's going to lose a lot of snaps because of Alshon Jeffrey being back. Alshon Jeffrey's basically getting locked down by Jair Alexander, so I'm not going to be taking him. He also is coming off a calf injury. I don't need that in my life. I don't need the soft tissue issues with Alshon Jeffrey. Soft tissue issues, yeah. Just made a rhyme right there. So, yeah, definitely don't want any Alshon. Do not want him near my lineups. Can't touch him. Can't touch him. So, that's it for the receivers. And moving along, I talked about the tight end position. Zach Ertz, I think, is a lock. He's kind of, again, been pretty quiet for the first 3 weeks, but Carson Wentz, will lock onto this guy. When he drops back to throw, he's where's Ertz? Where's Ertz? And there's a chance that, he's only had, 4 receptions. His last few game logs have been pretty slow and pretty low in terms of just total production. And he kind of disappointed last week, People saw him in the chalky spot. It's no one's there, and he's going to get out the target. So, it could easily see it totally reverse in terms of, everybody was on Aguilar and Ertz last week. Aguilar showed up, Ertz didn't. It could be easily switched, whereas Ertz blows up, Aguilar doesn't. I can guarantee you, though, that less people are going to be on Ertz because he's more expensive and he did worse last week. Like, that's just recency bias to a T. You want to expose it. I know it can go against your better will. You're like, but, like, he did good last week. It's like, no, it doesn't matter. Like, literally, like, you need to, like, get past recency bias, play Ertz at 9,200. Don't play any other tight end. Jimmy Graham is dust. He has to catch, like, 3 touchdowns to, like, be productive. So it's just not going to happen. I think touchdowns are going to go to Adams, so fade Jimmy Graham. Dallas Goedert is only $1,000. He's still dealing with an injury. He had a big drop last week. I'm not playing him. Jimmy Graham could miss this game too. I think that it's possible that he could miss. He's wicked banged up right now. Like, he has tons of injuries. He's just kind of like a corpse running routes out there. So Mercedes Lewis at 1,000 and Robert Tonyan. Robert Tonyan is probably my sleeper. So if like you're just need like you want to just like stack your lineup with like a bunch of high priced guys and you just need to throw someone in, he's $200, so like literally it's almost free. Robert Tonyan, especially if Jimmy Graham misses, he is an explosive playmaker at the tight end position, second year tight end. He's actually coming off a career high in targets last week, 3 targets. So I mean, you could do worse, I would definitely say, but he has upside with his explosiveness to make plays in the passing game, which is why I like Robert Tonyan as a better option. The Packers, also going back to Ertz, the Packers have allowed the 3rd fewest fantasy points to the tight end position so far in 2019. But again, context matters. That was against some pretty poor tight ends, or basically teams that don't utilize the tight end position. So take it for what you will. The red matchup might scare people off. You know, on DraftKings, it has a red, oh no, like you can't start him. It's like, no, like I think Ertz is literally fine to play. Kicker, defense, special teams. It's all about the Packers defense here. We're talking about their good defense on paper. They have been generating sacks. They've actually scored double-digit fantasy points in 3 straight games, which like is pretty hard to do, especially with the inconsistencies at defense. So I really, really like the Packers defense here. I think that of a defense or kicker, which in all the lineups I've been looking at, looking at the winning lineups in rosters, you always are going to find at least one kicker or one defense every single week. So go with the Packers defense and don't overlook the position. Like, you should always try to fit in one of these because that's what always happens. Like, there's always a winner from one of these positions here. So go with the Packers defense. That's what I'm going to be rolling with in my lineup. So, and the Eagles have ranked 3rd in the league in most giveaways on the road this season so far. And we saw last week they had a bunch of issues fumbling the ball. They got new players moving pieces around. So that's really where I think that the best option there is definitely to go with the Packers defense. So guys, go check out windaily.com. A lot of good stuff on the online. You definitely going to want to go check it out. And yeah, good luck. Go win some money. Let's get it. And then make sure you check out the rest of the website. Check out the live stream. More articles posted, throughout the week, throughout the weekend. The cheat sheet. We're going to have a lot of good stuff as we get ready for the Week 4 main slate event. Thanks, guys.